Welcome one, welcome all. I am Veteran Crypto, and this is the cabin build special. And so, sorry I had to start a little bit late. I was trying to adjust my time to for my co-host Druth from Blockchain Basement. Unfortunately, he's not going to be able to make it. He was a little bit away from the house and wasn't able to make it back in time, and needs to put his kids to bed. So I'm gonna be flying solo. So anyway, I'm going to kick it right off. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of break down. There was a lot of people that were really curious about my experience building my cabin. And, just to kind of, frame the conversation, I was in the military for 22 years and uh, retired and was living in the city. Had a everything that I was told that, you were supposed to have to be happy, the big house and the ski boat and the truck and, all that stuff. And, yeah, I was miserable. And so one day I woke up and I decided I'm selling everything. I'm selling, my house, my rental property, the boat, everything. And whatever I can't fit in my truck, I'm getting rid of. Whatever I couldn't sell, I gave away and I moved out here to the woods and pitched a dome tent. And I'll share some pictures of all of it here soon. Pitched a dome tent and basically lived in a dome tent for about 6 months during the summertime and the first part of the fall while I built my cabin and was able to get it what's called dried in time for winter. So doors and windows in, framed roof on, all that kind of stuff so that so that I could live in it. So anyway, without further ado, let me share my screen and I will start sharing some photos with you. Let's see. Here we go. All right. So as you can see, uh, I have this is just my shared drive of all of the pictures that I saved of the build. So this one here is the property. This is the spot where my cabin currently sits. This is the very first photo I took. I wanted to make sure I took a photo of what it looked like before I broke ground. So it was a beautiful little spot, and it kind of sucked to tear it up, but it all worked out in the end. So the next one is me and my dog. So as you can see, the bulldozer back there. I had to use some heavy equipment. Leveled the site. Had to dig out the foundation. I'll share those pictures as well. But I tried to, as much as possible, kind of take pictures throughout this whole process. So this is the after I obviously cleared it out and right before the guy showed up to uh, to start digging out the foundation. So to get to this point, what I had done is I had bought the 20 acres. I had gone to the building department. So where I chose to build, they have what's called an owner builder permit. And I highly suggest if you're going to do your build yourself that you do this. It's going to cut down on the cost immensely. The only inspections that I had to get was my septic system and my electrical. Other than that, I didn't need any, inspections, any permits, just the basic building permit. So I went into the building department and I literally they handed me a piece of paper and I sketched on a piece of paper where I wanted to build my cabin, the dimensions of my cabin, and the offset of the from the river and from the property lines. And so that's really all I had to do. No problem, Nicole. I started a little bit early. Druth isn't going to be able to make it, so I decided to kick it off a little early. But I appreciate you showing up. I kind of felt like I was talking to myself. I was expecting more people to be here. I had like I think it was 10,000 people, asking questions about my cabin, and so I decided to do this, spur of the moment. So I'm hoping at least some of them show up. But yeah. So and I hope you're feeling better, Nicole. I know you're back home after your surgery. I hope you're feeling better. So yeah. So I other than giving the building department a sketch and that was pretty much all I had to do. I think there was if I remember right, there was a small fee, but very small. I think it was like $100, $150. So after that, I had the permit. I was able to break ground. Um, so yeah, I basically cleared the lot, as you can see. Since you didn't get to see it, Nicole, since you were a little bit early, this was what the my spot where my cabin is now. What it looked like before I broke ground, and then this one that was just up. This is what it looked like after I cleared the spot for the cabin. All right, so let me see if I can find. Yeah, this is probably the best one. So after I had the excavator come in, and we took there's like a leveling tool, like a laser leveling tool with like the stick. I'm sure you've seen like the surveyors use it. So he basically scraped all this out, dug out the foundation, and then I had to build out these frames for the footings. So depending on how far north you are, there's a frost level or a freezing level. Where I'm at, it's like 36 inches. So my footings had to be that far down. And what it is so when the ground, the moisture, when it freezes, it doesn't heave or push up your foundation and crack your foundation. So you want your footings to be below that, that freezing level or that frost level, so that that you don't get that a disruption to your foundation. Oh, yeah, no, I know you used to build houses, but yes, no, it was a very pretty spot. It actually felt terrible having to clear it out, but if I didn't, I wouldn't have what I have now. Um, So you can this is a little bit better shot. You can see how it, had to dig it down, and you can see how far down it was. Like I said, it's about 34 or 36 inches. And so that's basically what my foundation is sitting on. So there's this that runs down the middle, and I don't have any pictures, but basically there's like a small kind of pony wall that of 2x4s that goes down the center here. And then of course, I'm gonna show you some pictures of where I poured the foundation around the perimeter, and then that's what the cabin sits on, currently. And if you have any questions, since you're knowledgeable, Nicole, about building and stuff like that, if you have any questions that you think people might ask when they're watching this later, please feel free to ask any questions. So after that, next was putting the forms up. So these are called Johnny clamps. So basically, all it is plywood with boards, and you can kind of see down here. You build out the rebar and tie it to those the rebar that was coming out of the footings, and that's how you tie it together. And then you use these 2x4s and the plywood, and these are just like these bars with a clamp, and you drill holes in the boards, and you slide it through, and then lock them in. And so what it does is it holds it. So then that's what you fill the cement around the perimeter in. Oh, hey, what up, Crypto Breezy, Louise? Good to see some people coming in. I was getting nervous. I thought I was gonna have to talk to myself for like an hour. I was gonna start at 8, and then Drew was saying he was gonna be able to be here till 9, but I had already advertised it for 8, so I figured I'd start at 8:30, and then he could join in later. But he's not gonna make it, I guess. So anyway, so the next step, here's me and my neighbor, and yeah, I had the cement truck come in, and basically we just had them dump cement down inside the wall, and it got sketchy there for a minute because it was curing a little too fast. I'm far enough away from town. I'm about 40 minutes from town, and he mixed it a little too hot. And so by the time he got here, it already started setting. And so I made the call for him to go ahead and pour it, and luckily it turned out. But let's see. So after we poured and we took off all the plywood, before it totally dried, we took off those Johnny clamps and pulled off the plywood. Let's see, let's get rid of this and read what you guys are saying. All right. So, as you can see, there's some vents, here in the side. So you definitely, whenever you do a regular foundation like this, if it's not post and pier, um, you're definitely going to want to have these vents. So it allows the moisture to vent out underneath. Otherwise, like underneath my cabin would just be mold and nastiness. So you have to have these vents. So I think that's saying enough about that. Yeah, that's what he was saying, that he could have added some water, but unfortunately, I think it had gone too far. It was already like kind of starting to set up a bit, so we just kind of rushed and had him do it, and he was out of water because he. It's a long story. I won't get into it. All right, so let me see which one would be the pertinent. So when my foundation was being dug out, there's and some following pictures I'll show you, but there's a kind of like a not a channel, but you can tell that it used to be a creek, tens of thousands of years ago or something. A little gully next to the cabin, and so I knew that there'd be water because there's a creek just maybe 50 feet from my cabin, and so I knew that the water coming off the mountain was down below and flowing through there and coming up in springs because all up and down the creek you can feel the cold water coming up from the natural springs. So I had him dig down as far as he could, um, with the excavator. And then after we put the cement tiles, these giant cement, tiles down in there to shore it up, then I pumped out the water and had a pump going. And I got down there with a shovel and I dug the rest out by hand. And so it ended up being about 15 feet deep. Um, about 15 feet deep by the time I was done. Um, so that's where I get my water from. Let's see. After that, subfloor. So, as you can see, there's these bolts that come out of the foundation. So between the foundation and these boards, there's it's kind of hard to explain, but it's basically like a foam and like a sealant that goes around, and you put the pressure treated lumber down, and that's what you bolt to the foundation, and then the subfloor is built onto that, and that's how you secure the cabin itself onto the foundation. So I'm hoping it's making sense. Yeah, no, that this is actually when it did start to get really fun, and it starts to happen really fast. I'm wanting to say that probably 3 weeks to get dried in is all it took me. Once this process starts going, it's actually a really quick process, and I only had myself and at times my neighbor helping me. So, so you can see my tent, my humble abode back there in the background. That's what I slept in for about 6 7 months, and then the creek is kind of back over here in the distance behind these trees, and that's where I took my bath each night was down there, and I kind of lived like I was homeless for quite some time. So anyway, after the foundation and the subfloor, I started framing out. So I went with 2 by 6 walls. The reason is it allowed me to do more insulation. Up where I'm at during the winter time, it's gotten to 30 below before. Um, so basically, I wanted to have the thicker walls so I could put more insulation or give more R value to my walls because 30 below, and I have some pictures I'll share. There's been times in the wintertime, even with it being like 70 degrees in my cabin, I have frost that forms inside my cabin on the doorknob because it's so cold outside. So, yeah, intentional homelessness, yes, 100% C90. It was 100% self-inflicted. I could have gotten a hotel room and, done all that kind of stuff. But honestly, I wanted the experience. I really wanted to, and I wanted to make sure that I had enough money to finish the project, to be honest. I had no idea what this was going to cost me. I have to admit, I jumped in with both feet. I had never done anything like this before. I'd done some electrical work. I'd done a little bit of roofing, um, some very little framing. Without YouTube and my neighbor, who was he was a retired contractor that I could go and ask questions, I had no clue what I was doing. Um, like I said, I just sold everything I had. Actually, you know what? Let me share this with you guys because you guys have been listening to me ramble about this for like years now on Blockchain Basement. Let's go to here. So this was my house. This is how ridiculous I was living. So this is my 4,500 square foot house that I was living in by myself. It was 3 levels, 7 bedrooms. Yeah, 7 bedrooms, 5 bath. It was ridiculous. I had no business. Um, I had this thing built. But yeah, I was living in that, and then this is kind of looking out off the front porch. But this is my ski boat that I had. This is the lake that I lived off of. And you can see the red truck that's in my cabin photos. Um, yeah, I had all the stuff that supposedly was supposed to make you happy. I mean, I was, living the dream. Um, taking vacations, doing all the stuff that is supposed to be the American dream. And I was miserable. Like I said, I just retired from the military. Um, I was working at a rare coin and precious metals shop, managing that, and learned how to grade, coins and that sort of thing. Really cool job, but yeah, just wasn't fulfilling. So anyway, that was kind of how I was living, before I moved out here. But back to the build. So yeah, after I framed it out, then I sheeted the outside, and this is kind of when it starts to take form, and you start to get that feel that it's actually going to be a livable structure. So yeah, I mean it's pretty straightforward. I mean, again, this moves really fast. I mean, there's you're putting whole sheets, 4x8 sheets of plywood on the outside, and so it actually got to a point to where I didn't move into it. I waited till I got the roof on, but there was a couple nights that I slept in here just to kind of get a feel and a vibe for kind of what it was going to be like. Let me see if I missed any questions from you guys. No, no, it doesn't look like it. Anybody got any questions so far? I feel like I'm kind of skimming over it pretty fast. Here's a kind of set back view, but this is kind of what the it looks like around the cabin. Yeah, no, I ended up Tyveking it, but yeah, I hadn't gotten to that point yet. But yeah, I tried to step back and take a couple photos. Let me see. What's the next best one? So yeah, I mean, you mentioned Tyvek. I mean, this is kind of a little fast forward. This is about the only shot I got where I had it Tyvek. But this is after I got the windows in. I hadn't gotten the front door in yet, but I'd gotten the roof on, that sort of thing. But yeah, I Tyvek the outside of it. Um, Here's another shot. And this is my master bath window. I'll show a picture of the vanities, but yeah, sleeping on. Yeah, maybe Drew will drop in. Like I said, I sent him a message, and he was saying that he was still not home yet, so that he might not make it. All right. So trusses. All right, there they are. So thank God that when they delivered these, it comes on a boom truck. So they didn't drop them on the ground to where I would have to try to figure out how to get each one of these up and then hold them in place and secure them. So the boom truck actually lifted them up and set them on top of the walls. So after I, cut the banding, I had him set it like here in the middle. I don't know if you can see the pointer very well, but kind of down where these walls are, I had him set them in the middle. So after I cut the banding, I could start dragging the trusses down and start at one end, so I could kind of work towards them. And then by the time that I got to those, then I was able to, that I was they were out of the way. There was enough of them out of the way that I could maneuver stuff around. But at this point, I did need help. My neighbor came over, the old retired contractor dude, and so I balanced up there and held him up while he secured them on the ends. And you can kind of see, you have to put some two by fours and secure them so that they stay spaced properly. And it was kind of the wind was going a little bit. You didn't want them to fall. Yeah, yeah, they're freaking heavy as shit. And when you're balancing on your own and trying to hold those things up, um, yeah, it's kind of sketch. I was glad when this part was done. All right, what is next? There's me, friggin' after old cement truck dude was done and leaving. Let's see, what would be the next chronological? Probably getting the roof on. I showed you guys that one. That's what the roof looks like now. If you got them to set on top of that, yeah, no, dude. I never would have been able to fucking heft those things up there, by myself and then hold them in place and do all that. So, yeah, no, I was definitely grateful for the boom truck. Let's see. Do, do, do. And then you guys have seen the let's see. You guys have seen the the cabin picture, of the outside. Actually, let's mute that. All right. So, next up, let's see. Yeah. No, it's definitely a workout. You know, uh, swinging a hammer all day and hauling lumber and digging and doing all that. I was definitely in some pretty good shape. I mean, not that I'm in bad shape now, but um, I definitely feel like you know, uh, just working out, basically working out all day. It's definitely rewarding. So let's go back to here. Trying to think of what to share with you guys next. Well, here's a good one. So this is when I started putting the porch on. So the porch only goes on two sides. It's not a full wraparound. And reason being is in the back, I'm actually doing. I'm planning on doing a shop. That's one of the things I'm kind of waiting on crypto to hit. Is I have a pretty extensive shop I'm wanting to do and a porch, out back. But so pretty much all of these timbers, I had locally milled. So I have a neighbor that has one of those mobile mills, and he actually we cut some trees, and then he used his mill. So these are from timber here on the property, and we did 8 by 8 posts going, all down, up and down the sides, and then you can see, where we dug and did the tubes, the sono tubes that you fill with cement to do the footings, and post a pic on X. Oh, gotcha. All right, Nicole. Yeah, no, I definitely wouldn't mind seeing you back in your construction days. But yeah. So the porch wraps around on two sides. You can see I got French doors that come out of the master, and and then these are my kind of my picture windows that I have in the living room. Let's see. Next would be, so that was pretty much when I was dried in. Um, After I got the windows and doors in, I got to work doing the insulation because it was October. It was this time of year, and it starts to get pretty cold up here. And so I got to work on the insulation, getting the insulation in the roof done. And actually, I do have a photo. So I kind of rushed, and this is my little hillbilly neighbor, Rick Dunn. So I had a neighbor that had an old stove that he let me borrow to throw in, just as a kind of a construction stove, so that I could kind of keep the place warm. And you can see my air mattress back here in the master bedroom with that the all blown up. That's where I was sleeping. But yeah, this is the wood stove that kept me warm, and you can kind of see my cast iron tub, my clawfoot tub here in the back on the platform. And this is where I started. I'd warm up pots of water on the stove, and I'd fill that up, and that's how I started taking my baths. So I was moving on up. Let's see. Um, yeah, here's where we were doing the foundation. Where I was pouring the cement. All right. So next, that's pretty much the bulk of the exterior. The board and bat. I'll get to that in a minute. I mean, and pretty much. Let me see real quick. Pull up a picture of. So yeah, this is the outside of the cabin, and what I did was I did board and bat, and all of this lumber is locally milled as well. So the awesome thing about having a buddy with a mill is he can do whatever dimension boards that you want. So all of my flooring inside the cabin, and I'll show you guys and girls, and all the wood on the inside of the cabin and outside, and all the porch lumber is all milled lumber, locally milled lumber, either off my property or off my buddy's property. And what I did was it's a technique called shoshugiban, and it's a ancient Japanese technique. So before, like, all the chemicals that we use now, like the Thompson's water seal and that sort of thing, they used to burn the wood. And what it does is it almost hardens the wood because of the sap inside kind of get turns to like an amber, and it is pest resistant. So because it's burnt, a lot of the pests don't like to burrow into it and eat it, and it also helps prevent mold and a lot of things like that. So the whole outside, I burnt it. Again, the technique is called shoshugi bond. So there's no chemical treatments on the outside of the cabin at all. And then, of course, up top, I just did cedar shake. So I didn't use cedar off my property. I actually just bought the shingles, but just did the area here in the cedar shake. But this is pretty much what it looks like now. I've done some small stuff, but this is pretty much what the outside of the cabin looks like right now. Let's see. Oh yeah, here's here's an old picture of me. I was hauling some firewood over to the cabin, but there's my pup I had back in the day. That DZ, the type of candles that DZ uses. What type of candles does DZ use? All right. So septic. Like I said, septic was one of the two permits that I had to get. And this is something, and actually, there's two things I want to share. Any of you out there that watch this that are thinking of doing this, I recommend two things. These two things almost fucked me. So the first one is septic. So the soil has you have to get up what's called a perk test. And if the soil won't perk, they will not give you a septic permit. And if you cannot get a septic permit, you will not be able to freaking build your place. Or you can build your place, but you basically won't be able to live in it because you won't have a sewage system. So I got lucky. Um, I had a bunch of perk holes dug, and the inspector came out and went through all the holes and was saying that none of them were going to perk. I was shitting bricks. I had bought an $80,000 piece of property that I was about to not be able to build anything on. And so, luckily, the last hole, I argued with him long enough, and I was far enough out. I don't know if he was just worried that he wasn't going to make it off my property alive, but he ended up approving me because I was about to lose my shit. Because to be honest, I had already, had a dried-in cabin before I got to this point. I just assumed that I was going to be able to do a septic system because my neighbors, they all had septic systems. Everybody had septic systems, so why wouldn't I be able to? Again, I didn't have a lot of experience, and it almost bit me. So anyway, unfortunately, I wasn't able to do a gravity fed. I had to do pump to field. So instead of being around 3 grand or $3,500, mine ended up costing me 10 grand. Think I probably got bent over a little bit, but yeah, that was not a pleasant experience, and it was an unexpected expense. I was thinking 3,500 and ended up being 10 grand. So that was one thing. The other thing was the electrical. Was it the electrical? Oh no, the well. So luckily on my property, like I said, there's a creek right that goes right through my place. So I knew that there was water on the property. However, um, other people out there that are thinking of doing this, when you're looking at properties, I almost fell into this. There was much cheaper properties, but they were on mountaintops that overlooked, rivers and stuff like that. Had beautiful panoramic views, awesome pieces of property. However, luckily, I looked, and I was talking to some guys at the restaurant. I was getting dinner one night, and I was talking to him, and one of the old timers said, "Check for the well depth." So I went online, checked the well depth on the property I was about to close on, and there's websites you can go to, and they'll tell you what the other wells in the area, the permitted wells, what the depth of those wells are, and what they produce in gallons per minute. Um, so I looked, and it was going to cost me, I think it was like 55,000 for the property, but it was going to cost me about that to drill the well. 'Cause I want to say the wells were like 200 or 300 foot deep, which I think at the time it was like $30 a foot. Do the math. It was going to be really expensive, and that was just to drill. That wasn't for the system itself. That wasn't for the pump. That wasn't for the pressure tank, that wasn't for any of the other stuff. Um, oh, gravity fed around used like 6 to 8 grand for septic. Yeah, no, around here it was like 3,000, 3,500 at the time. So those are the two things that almost bit me. Anybody out there that's thinking about doing this, before you close on the property, have it contingent on the soil passing a perk test for your septic. Do not buy the property until they can either produce and you can verify, or um, it's again contingent on a perk test. All right, so let's go into the inside. So this is a little further along. I'd already insulated. I'd already obviously done the electrical, all that stuff. But this is when I started. This is all that milled wood I was telling you about. So I basically finished out off the whole inside with this milled wood, and then put the clawfoot up on a platform, and you'll see why here in a second. But I found this really cool old antique uh, clawfoot, and then online I found this place where you could get retro solid brass fixtures, because I wanted to have it look old school. So anyway, freaking love this thing. Sorry, getting a little hoarse. So the reason I wanted it up on a platform was because of this. The window that I was showing you that had my tent outside of it. This is the straight across. So if you kind of go around this corner, to the left is the tub, and then here's the his and hers sinks. And but the view, I can sit in my tub with a whiskey and a cigar and just look out the window and watch deer in the creek, and it's just super chill. Uh, all of these countertops are all live edge and milled from trees, just one solid piece. And then of course I used like that epoxy resin. Oh, hey, what's up? Blockchain report. So, any questions so far? Just feel like I'm rambling. But yeah, pretty much my whole cabin is finished out in locally milled lumber. But yeah, this is kind of what my master bedroom looks like, or my master bath looks like. And then kind of back further, you can kind of see where my clothes rack was, is my closet, and I'll show you that here in a second. Let's see. So this is the closet, and I built these out, just kind of these cubbies, and just have these, kind of, I don't know if you call them drawers, or like baskets that go into each of them. And I just have like an underwear basket, a sock basket. I fold up my shirts and my pants and stuff like that, and just stick them in these cubbies. I don't have dressers. I don't have anything crazy like that. And you can kind of see the floors. I have some better shots of the floor, but again, this is that Shoshugiban. I just had my buddy cut 8 inches wide and inch thick boards, and I just screwed them down to the floor and then epoxied over them. So yeah, freaking love the way it looks. Here's what it looked like, what the floors looked like before I epoxied them. But yeah, this is the kitchen. So all of these again are one solid piece tree trunks with the live edge on it all the way around. So, and then I got my copper sink here, and yeah, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. But yeah, all this is built out with the milled lumber. Let's see. You know what? I should pour me a drink. The insulation in the winter. So, um, I mean, you can go back and watch Blockchain Report, but I detailed that. But what I went with 2x6 walls for the extra R value, and did extra thick insulation. So yeah, I wanted to make sure that it the power goes out here a lot. I use electric heating, and then I have my propane heater, and then I have the wood fireplace behind me. But for the most part, I stick to the electric and the propane. Unless I just want that kind of ambiance of the wood fire, and I keep 6 cords of wood. So that's basically 5 to 6 cord is what you'll use in a winter to keep your place warm. And I just have that out in the barn in case I need it. Just if something happens, that's kind of my apocalypse, storage. Because it takes a little while for the wood to really dry out and cure to where it burns the way that you want it to burn. Not speaking for him here. He did mention earlier. Oh yeah, yeah. No, but so this is what my kitchen looks like now. I took this what last no, this wasn't last night. This is after I installed the sconces, in the wall. But yeah, I fucking love my kitchen. I love cooking. I mean, a bunch of you guys have probably seen my steaks. Um yeah, no, I hate being cold in the winter. I love going outside and being outside, but I love a nice, cozy cabin to come inside to. But yeah. No, I freaking love my kitchen and, being able to cook, and then I did these blocks, back here to where I'm, able to put all my spices. That's kinda like my spice rack. Let's see. Let me pull up. Did I not is this it? No. This is a little further back. This is standing back in my living room. You can kinda see, this is the stove behind me. So I'm sitting right here at my kitchen table. And you can kind of see this is the new stove that I got now, and then here it goes back into the laundry room and the bathroom. That's actually I just got done rebuilding my. You know what? I'll share that real quick. Let me rewind a little bit. So this is my pump. This is my well in my pump house that I built and insulated. And 2 winters ago, it got 30 below. Last winter, it got 20 below, and I had enough heaters out there that it didn't do it again. But my pump house froze solid and exploded, even though I had heaters in it. And I promised myself that I was not going to deal with that this winter. And so what I did is I just got done rebuilding all of this. So I climbed down in the well, and there's a line that goes, off to the side here into the cabin. I actually got a submerged pump instead of the above ground pump that I had before. I moved this pressure tank into my laundry room. So now there's nothing exposed to the elements. I can actually be gone and not worry about it freezing and exploding. So that was a huge upgrade, and I don't know why I didn't fucking think to do that to begin with. Again, any of you out there that are thinking of doing this, I highly suggest doing this right off the bat. Um, Having your pressure tank inside your house or under your house and doing a submerged pump. Um, it's a night and day difference. My water pressure's better. Um, again, don't have to worry about it freezing. So anyway, let me pull up some of these. Here's my living room. Again, this is where I'm sitting now. You can see the I don't even know why I had that microphone. This is my microphone. Like exactly where I'm sitting now. I wasn't doing podcasts back then, so I'm not sure exactly why I had that. You can see the master bedroom back here with my bed and my little wraparound couch. So basically, I modeled the cabin, that monstrosity of a house that I showed you earlier. Um, I took aspects of it that I liked. So the open concept of the living room, dining room, and the kitchen is just one big open area. That's the way that my house was, and then I kind of copy and pasted the bedroom. So back in here is the bedroom, and then on the other side of this wall where the stove is the master bath, and then the closet is kind of down further that way, if that makes sense. Let's see. Here's the view. Yeah, here's the view out the living room window here. There's a shot of the live edge that before I sanded it and epoxied it and all that stuff. Actually, I had a picture of. Actually, I think it's here where I had to clean up. Yeah, here it is. So as you can see here, this is the slabs that I got from my buddy after he milled them. They still had it's a red fur, and so I had to strip the bark off of it still. And so it wasn't too difficult, but I just took a cold chisel and a hammer and just went down and cleaned it all off, and then took a angle grinder with a sanding attachment on it to clean up the edges, to get them nice and clean, and it yeah worked perfectly. But here's a shot of what the counters kind of look like looking down on them. It's kind of cool. You can see the guy. It's the mill that he has. It was actually handed down to him. It's about a 150-year-old mill, but it has like this like 6 or 8 foot circular blade, and then it's like inside this long barn, and this massive diesel engine is what churns it. And then he has these giant handles that have hydraulics that move the logs up and down this track, and so he can cut whatever dimensions you want. But you can see the circular pattern in the wood, and so I made sure I didn't sand it too much because I really liked just that really cool circular pattern that was left in the wood. Yeah, no, it's beautiful, Nicole. I I'm like really proud of my kitchen. I like having dinner parties and stuff like that. So let me see if there's any more any more of the build that is important. I think that's it for as far as the build. Let me go out here and I'll share what's something good to share. I'll just share a couple of photos if you guys don't mind of just kind of some of my experiences up here. So clearing the property is important, for fire and things like that. So building slash piles and building and burning those always important. Starting to keeping the area clear. You can see my project back here. I got a 74, 28-foot Airstream that I've been restoring. I'll share some pictures of that if you guys want. Let's see. Here is a view of the mountains. So a couple minutes from here is one of my favorite hikes that I go on. It's about a 6-hour round trip. It's one of the tallest mountains in Eastern Washington. And so a lot of times I'll just go and I'll go for a jog, jog to the top just to enjoy the view. And this time of year, there's huckleberries, and so I'll take a pack with some Ziploc bags and stuff like that, and just like all along the trail is just tons and tons of huckleberries. Yeah, no, Luis, I'll share some more pictures of the Airstream. I'm having a lot of fun with it. But as far as the eye can see, you can see there's just no civilization. Um, I it's I can't say enough. This is a waterfall that is just and drive over the mountain. Only way probably like 40, 50 foot tall at least. So I mean, it's 100, 150 foot waterfall, but just beautiful. But yeah, I'll just sit there and drink beer and relax and enjoy life. Here's my driveway in the wintertime. So I got a four wheeler with a snow blade on it, and that's what I use to keep my driveway clear. Here's my ugly mug up on that hike I was just showing you. Is Actually took my brother Taylor that's on the Sunday stream. Him and his sons came out, and Jeff and one of his other buddies, and this is I took them all up there and we camped out. Let's see. What else? What else? All right. One of the years, about 2 years ago, this is me here. I got a job working for DNR, doing wildfire. So this is one of the bigger fires that we were on, and the crew I was on. So yeah, I did wildfire for a season. Let's see. Here's the creek on the property here. So this is I call it the island. This is where I go down, and you can see my Corona there with a lime in it, and my trimmers. So I have a cold plunge pool over here, and I think I have a picture of it. But I got a little creek that comes off the main creek, and then back behind these chairs, there's another one. So it kind of creates like a little island. But yeah, no, I just sit down here and drink beer often. Let's see. Here's another view from the island across the pasture and the mountains across the way. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, another shot of the creek. Here's me on another fire. It's a lot of fun, man. Freaking hiking around the mountains. Here's Taylor. This is me, and I'm sure you recognize him from the Sunday stream. There's Jeff. There's Taylor. There's their other buddy, and then my three of my nephews. Um, One of the nephews was too young to come, and his daughter was too young to come. But yeah, this is all of us. Just this past spring. This is the hailstorm that was rolling in that we got hit by. Jeff, it was comedy. Jeff brought his tent that he borrowed from somebody and didn't bother putting it up to make sure he had all the pieces before he got here. So as the hailstorm is rolling in, he's trying to put up a tent that didn't have all the pieces. He managed to piece enough together to give him a shelter. Thank goodness. Um, let's see. Oh yeah. So here's me, Taylor, and my nephews, and this is the top of like a shot from the top of my property, and kind of looking out over the valley. Here's the bridge. Like the cabin's kind of up this way, where you come across onto the island, and then you can see some shots of my garden here. Some more creek shots. Oh, here's my taxpayer funded bridge that the freaking state came out and did uh, and made a mess of everything. Supposedly, it was an environmental thing where they were going to help the fish or something. And yeah, it's been a whole nightmare. So here's my bald ass hucking off a rock. So that waterfall I showed you, um, you can kayak up, and there's all kinds of cliffs and rocks that you can jump off of into the water. So here's me, my impersonation of Superman. Here's a mule deer. I still have this skull and the rack. I'm actually, I'm sure you guys have seen behind me the ram's head. So I'm going to clean up this one and do the same thing to it. Just I like trying to use it all. Let's see. Here's another shot. This is the road after you come off my driveway. Looking from the top of the property, this is the valley you're looking over. But yeah, this is This is what it looks like here at the cabin. Here's a cool project. So there was a cedar tree in front of my house that I had to take down, and so the same epoxy that I used on my countertops, I took the tree trunk and I cut it in half, flipped it on top of each other, and epoxied it, and made my coffee table. So this is my coffee table. And so what I did was is in between, you can't see it, but in between the two pieces, I got those of you that might know what I'm talking about. It's called a lazy Susan. There's a giant bearing on a lazy Susan, and so I used a lazy Susan bearing underneath, and so this top piece actually spins. You can just spin it 360, and so I can move this however I want. So I can make it line up. I can make it line up with the bottom piece, or just spin it any direction I want. So yeah, it's kind of a cool little project that I did. And then here's another piece. I made a bench out of another piece of the trunk. Uh, Here's us cutting line on a fire, and one of the fires that we were fighting. What else we got? The type to bring the saving tool you need, but no batteries for it. You might have to explain that one. Oh, okay, I get it. What I've seen so far, that's Jeff 100%. Yes, fucking Jeff. He is fucking hilarious. So I think this is actually Jeff right here in this picture, in this kayak, because I took him to the waterfall. Um, but yeah, this is some of the shots of the waterfall. But yeah, Jeff was comedy, but you know what? He was a freaking trooper. Um, I I don't think I saved any of the photos in the drive, but when we hiked up to the top of that mountain, it was like it was probably 2 or 3 foot deep of snow still, and yeah, they were a hurting unit, but they all made it. Let's see. Yeah, again, here's us fighting fire. This dude here is a fucking beast with the porn stash. The guy basically has one hand. On one of his hands, he all he has is the pinky and the thumb, but the guy, you would never know it. I mean, he did more work than most of the people with two full hands. He'd dig line, he'd work the pump, he'd work the fire hose, everything. I mean, the guy was a fucking beast. Like an all young dudes. I was the old bastard. I mean, at that time I was 48, and I could out hike him, of course, but yeah, these young dudes, man, they hard workers up here out in the country. These I call them kids, but they're men. But yeah, they freaking did awesome work. Another shot of the my project. I got the solar stuff, morels. Those of you that know, you know. If you've ever had a morel, they're freaking delicious. These grow all over the property in the fall and in the spring. So I'll pick a bunch of these and dry them out. Um, you cut them into little pieces, and like kind of fry them in some butter, and they are just freaking awesome. Oh, here we go, mountain lion. So these bastards are everywhere up here. Um, and they stalk kids. They kill people's pets. They take out friggin' farm animals, all kinds of stuff. This is a baby. This is actually a cub. Um, but yeah, they're constantly. I'm constantly packing when I'm going around the property. So this is the garden. I just built these kind of planter boxes so that I could more efficiently get the pH. So whenever you're gardening, I was hoping to have Drew on here because I feel like he knows a lot more about gardening and stuff than I do. I don't know how to didn't know how to grow shit before I got up here. My neighbor, the retired construction worker, he's been up here for 40 years, and his garden, his wife is from Thailand, and their garden is beautiful, and just they actually own a Thai restaurant in town, and just the most amazing Thai food that you'll ever have. And I've been to Thailand, so that's saying a lot. But she's from Thailand. But he taught me about pH levels and ensuring that using different additives to the soil. You need to make sure that the pH level is right for different types of vegetables and herbs and things like that. So I built these planter boxes, and I used the soil down by the creek because it's a lot more nutrient rich. The soil up here is a lot of clay, and so I mixed the 2 together because you want the clay because it helps retain moisture in the soil, and then I got the more organic stuff for the nutrients. And then I added, like, bone meal and, some other horse manure, like, decomposing or composted, horse manure. Oh, I know. Yeah. No, I think Drew just bailed. I don't think he's gonna make it. I really didn't want him to talk on this part because he's a lot more knowledgeable. I promised you I'd show you the Airstream. So this is what it looked like when I first got it. It's an Argosy. So those that don't know, the Airstream is they came where it's that polished aluminum, aircraft aluminum. Uh, the Argosy they used a lot of it was salvaged from aircraft, so it had scratches and dings and stuff like that. So it wasn't perfect like the Airstream. So they made the Argosy that they painted. It's still the aluminum underneath, and these end caps here on top are galvanized steel. And so what I did is I started sanding it down, and you can't really see it, but this is galvanized steel. And I ended up painting this copper, but I've been sanding this down. Hey, no problem. I appreciate you coming by, C90. I'm just kind of rambling at this point. Just I'm gonna try to get all this out. Um, yeah, again, this is why I've made some more progress, and where I painted the made it copper, and then I'm gonna do the back as well, and then be replacing this. You can see the old antenna up top. Yeah, no, they are super cool. I repainted the frame, so I gutted the inside. Oh, here we go. Here's a better shot. So here's my claw foot. You can see the floors. That have the epoxy on them, and you can see the closet back here. Pay no attention to the gun safe. Oh, here you go. So yeah, I gutted the inside out, repainted it, got the original, kind of bench that turns into a bed there, and then here redid the plumbing and got the overheads, the original cabinets. I wanted to leave those. No little meow, no little meow. All right, all right. So one of the cool things about being able to pay for all this with cash and not have a mortgage is I've been able to go on a lot of adventures. So since building the cabin, I was able to take a job in New York. So I lived in New York for a year, running operations for a Bluetooth mesh network startup tech company. Um, so yeah, I was able to live out there and got to experience living in the city and stuff. That was kind of cool. One of the other things is my cousin owns a charter boat down in Antigua. So I went down there and lived down there for a while. And this is me. It's a 52-foot Beneteau, and we just lived down there. Kind of lived off fish that we caught, and took people around the islands. From island to island. Went to Montserrat, Went to a couple different islands. Uh, did that for a while. Flipped classic cars. So went down to California for a bit and flipped. Bought that one. It was a four door Plymouth Fury. Thing was a beauty. I would have loved to have kept it. Got it for 3,500. The guy, I wish I had a picture under the hood. He pulled the whole drivetrain, put a whole new drivetrain in, put A arms in the front, independent suspension, and painted it like almost this Mustang color here. The whole inside of the engine compartment was just perfectly painted like a cherry red, and brand new engine, brand new transmission. There's just a lot of cool stuff went into it. I hope you get feeling better, Nicole. Got a Firebird. I believe this was a '68 Firebird that I flipped. This one had the 454 engine, just a two door Fury. So I had them painted a gunmetal gray, and the seats. uh, This is the one I would have loved to have kept, but anyway. So yeah, got to do that. Yeah, here's me and my cousin and one of his buddies down in the Caribbean on the boat. Here's that picture I was telling you about where the with the frost, you can see the frost forming on the inside of the doorknob and on the door jamb. Yeah, that's when it got like 30 below. Yeah, and then here's that shot from the top of the property. But I mean, that's kind of pretty much it. I mean, that's my little adventure. I don't think there's much more to share with you. Any of you have any questions? As far as the kind of the cabin experience. I mean, I got like some stories I can tell, but yeah, I think I've rambled on long enough. I've been on for an hour now. But yeah, I mean, I'll post some other pictures on X or something like that. If I find some stuff, that I didn't share here. You been where? Death? Deadwood? Yeah, no worries, Deadwood. I appreciate all you guys showing up. It was nice to have some people in here to conversate with while I was rambling on. I did have a pack of wolves visit me one night. I was sitting by the fire with my pup, and yeah, my pup started growling. Big old German Shepherd, and so yeah, and then all of a sudden he tucked his tail and started kind of cowering next to me, and I was like, "What the hell?" I mean, I've never seen him do that before, and it was nighttime. I'm sitting around the fire, just got done with my steak, and I just saw a set of eyes in the tree line, and then another set, and I'd only been here a week, and there was nothing on this property before, so I'm pretty sure that it was they kind of used my property to come through to get to the creek and to get down to try to get to livestock and stuff like that. So I think they were just curious. So I mean, I had my hand on my pistol, and if they did anything, but and it felt like an eternity. It was probably like 30 seconds, but it felt like 30 minutes. But just as quick as they showed up, I just saw the eyes kind of disappear off into the woods, and I haven't really seen any sign of wolves since. Every once in a while you'll see one out in the field, but there's a pack of about 14 that are on the mountain back behind me. But that's pretty much my adventure. Yeah, no, yeah, wolves and cats. Actually, mountain lions are scared of dogs, and I actually my pup, this pup here, Kraken, he actually lives with my neighbors now. Their dog died, and they got three little kids, and yeah, their dog died, and they my buddy's wife caught a mountain lion stalking their kids when they were outside playing, and so yeah, Kraken, he's kind of the neighborhood dog anyway. So yeah, he lives over there now. Keeps an eye on the kids, chases away the bear. Oh, I did have a bear visit one night when I was sleeping before I got the porch on. But long story short, it was a non-event. It was just it charged at me, uh, like I don't know, 4 or 5 steps, and I shot my pistol into the ground, and because I didn't want to shoot it, and it kind of stood up, looked like it was about I don't know 7, 8 foot tall, when it stood up, and kind of looked at me and kind of looked behind me, and I'm thinking it might have been a mama, and she had a baby, and that's why she was kind of charging at me, and she got back down and walked off, and I see bear scat all the time and like sign, but I've never ran into one on the property since then. But that's my story. Currently I am at what am I at? I want to say at 1,500 feet elevation is where the cabin sits. So yeah, I'm not too far from the Canadian border. I'd say 15, 20 minutes. Uh, so yeah, I mean, I'm pretty far, or not that far from the border. It's pretty cold, and then I'm on a north face, of the mountain. So right about now, um, I'm losing the sun during the daytime. I see the sun in the morning, and I see it when it's going down. But for the most, the sun's starting to disappear behind the mountain. Let's see. Yeah, one of my zucchinis. Oh, this is the that mountaintop that I like to jog up to the top of. This is the sunrise. I went up there one morning to watch the sunrise. That was it. Fucking love it. No Bigfoot encounters. My brother freaking. I'll get him to joke about it on the Sunday podcast. He wanted to see UFOs or Bigfoot when he was up here. I had to go up the mast on my cousin's boat to fix the nav light. The lights went out, and so yeah, I did. You take the line off the mainsail, and you hook it into a harness, and then you can see him down there looking up at me, and then he hoisted me up. So I had to go up there and do some work. Here's another shot. Yeah, beautiful boat. There's me chilling. Oh yeah, one more. I took my trip down to Nicaragua, with my epic beard. I took a trip down to Nicaragua with another company I was working with. I had a team in Egypt, one in India, one in Nicaragua, and here in the States. And so I had to travel regularly and visit, each of the teams, to just make sure that things were running smoothly. So yeah, got to travel around, but I worked remotely from here in the cabin. Just with Starlink. I mean, like I said, Starlink is a life changer. But yeah, I was able to do all that from up here. Got my yearly trip. This is the Colorado River below the Hoover Dam. So this is all my gear, and so uh, this time of year I didn't do it this year, but for about the past 5 6 years, I'd go down with my ex, and we'd paddle the river and camp on the river. Um, but yeah, it's they have hot springs and all kinds of stuff that you can go chill in. Well, I don't think there's much else to share. Oh, here's the mill. This is the mill I was telling you about, and the countertop that he cut for me. But you can see this is the rails and the big long barn, and the hydraulics just move the logs up and down, and then you can't really see it, but here's the saw blade back here. Then at the bottom you can see the mill as well, and all the lumber that he'd cut for people, and all the scrap. Then here's another shot of my garden. But That's it. That's my life. I appreciate you guys coming and taking an interest and sharing in it with me. And oh yeah, this is me when I first got up here. 6 to 7 hours for me, I guess. Yeah, I'd say about that, Deadwood. Um, but yeah, if nobody has any questions. I'll end it with that. Again, I appreciate y'all coming and checking it out. And thank you, Deadwood. Um, reach out if you have any questions or anything I didn't cover. I'd be happy to answer. But until then, we'll see you guys tomorrow night for the regular podcast. Take care. Veteran Crypto out.